taken out.
This is our last regular season game, right?
Yeah.
Really? So no outside work, could you volunteer somewhere?
Yes, but not for politics. That's also in the contract.
Could you volunteer play-by-play somewhere and not receive payment? Is that a breach of contract?
No, I suppose I could get an honorarium.
Wow.
But, what was I gonna say? Also, they have the right to tell me to volunteer places.
Oh.
Basically, the contract basically says I'm a slave to corporate.
Megan Murphy.
Alright, is she your first year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, I thought so.
Yeah.
And that's something you guys could talk about. It's the last regular season game. It's her first season in the helm. How's she doing?
Yeah.
I'd say they're doing all right.
I would say so.
10-3, I think that's acceptable.
And all of their losses have been the Class B.
Yeah, though it's Stephanie Rice has gone 11-2.
They also lost a lot of talent.
They did.
They did.
Not
Don't interview my dad.
Not as much as the boys, though.
On-air interview?
No.
Let's do it.
Sit into the third quarter if you want.
Yeah, we should do like a Manning cast.
Yeah,
You bring out a
yeah.
new guest every quarter.
I'm down with it.
Yeah.
Welcome on to the Air Like Dad, about to prove that the apple does fall farthest from the tree as humanly possible.
Why are they going to connect this tunnel cam?
So it goes on automatically. They usually set it like 15 minutes before the game goes on.
So the game's at 7, right?
Yeah, so it should go on at 45. If not, I have control for the boys' games, but not the girls' games, so we'll have to yell at them.
Interesting.
If it doesn't work, then we go one tab like you.
Is the water fountain over there connected? Is it up and running?
I doubt it.
Really?
I haven't used that at all this year.
I have an extra bottle of water if you need it.
I'm good. I'm going to try. Are the bathrooms at least open?
Yes. Those should be open for the game.
Oh, they're open now?
They got rid
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
porta potties
They got
are
rid of the
open.
porta potty. Oh.
Yeah. That's possible. Your old man needs are satisfied.
I've heard this song the last 3 days in a row.
Because they don't shuffle their freaking playlist.
Oh, no, she came up here, and I was like, oh, you want me to just shuffle? She's like, no, just play. I was like, you're not getting sick of just the same.
I hope you press shuffle anyway.
I press play just because it's the easiest.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Jamesville-DeWitt High School here in DeWitt, New York, where we have a amazing matchup tonight with the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams versus the Homer Trojans. Could potentially be a sectional championship preview, so you are in for a good one here tonight. Hi, everybody. Nick Dekaney here, joined alongside my broadcast partner, Mikey Meskos. Great to have you back in the booth, and boy, am I excited for this one tonight.
Thank you, Nick. Glad to be here. I'm very excited for this one as well. This matchup between the Homer Trojans and the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams is about to be one of the biggest of the season. These two teams are both on a tear right now, both touting very, very impressive records on this season and hoping to get that final win going into the championship season in just a couple days.
Yeah, Homer 10-2 on the season, Jamesville-DeWitt 10-3, so both of these teams are very evenly matched up in almost all categories you can list. And last year even, these teams have some experience and share a little bit of blood from last season. JD actually took out Homer in the sectional semifinals. 9-7 was their closest win of the entire season. Homer returning a lot of that team as well as Jamesville-DeWitt. So these teams are looking back at it and are very familiar with one another.
Of course, Homer definitely looking for some vengeance here. They feel like they were done dirty last year. They feel like they have a lot to prove on this field. And they know that JD is a very strong opponent, but they have a bunch of weapons of their own. Very excited to see how this one plays out. It's going to be an absolute battle.
And the matchup to watch for tonight will be number 24 for the Trojans, Chloe Ruse. 63 goals on the season so far, 19 assists. She'll be most likely matched up against Lindsay Hildreth, Jamesville-DeWitt's leading goal scorer, 30 goals on the season. And that is going to be where you want to direct your attention to.
That is going to be a huge rivalry. You see them matched up right here. They will be going at it all day long.
They'll have Kessler to start on the draw for the Red Rams. Did wonders in their game a couple nights ago against Watertown and is able to convert the opening one here tonight. They'll get the ball in the hands of Durkin, one of their best facilitators, who's putting on a clinic of a season so far.
Macy Durkin, just an electric athlete all around. She really thrives in the lacrosse season, but is also a basketball point guard. She is a floor general, doesn't matter what surface of play it is, and she is definitely the catalyst to this JD offense, along with many of our other attackers.
And JD opting to play a little bit slow coming out of the gate. Not a bad strategy. Trying to feel out your opponent. Haven't seen them since last year. And in a game like this, every single possession will matter.
As you see Durkin trying to tussle out for that one. Looks like it will stay with Durkin.
And already that's a big hustle play. As Brooke Bort was trying to get inside for the Red Rams and unable to come up with anything there. And here go the Trojans in transition.
And you see a great outlet pass from the goalie there, Sarah Sovacool, putting it right into the point of most opportunity. And Homer has wasted no time right now. They want to get on this attack as soon as possible. And they want to be the ones to draw first blood.
Yeah, and this JD defense was so stout in their game against Watertown. Came up with a bunch of huge stops down the stretch that ended up leading to their win 14-12. They're looking to do much more of the same, but they've got their hands full here tonight.
Absolutely. Homer have no shortage of offensive weapons. Obviously, it is centered around Chloe Ruse, but it's all about the complementary pieces around her. And the key to Homer right now is to give her that support. You know she's going to score. You know she's going to work wonders on this field. But it's all about the players around her that will truly be the difference between, just a good game where they end up losing and a great game where they are able to take down JD.
Yeah, one of those players we're watching right now, that's Cameron Calabro. 23 goals and 30 assists on this season. A do-it-all type player for the Trojans, as they are seeing nothing inside. Absolute locks by this JD defense to start out.
A complete shutdown. JD have been game planning this one for a while. They know that Homer is one of the best teams they will face all year. They know exactly what they're looking at. They know exactly how to respond. And just props to the coaching staff for being able to manage this Homer offense.
And Homer 3-1 in their league play so far. Their only two losses have come to Skaneateles and West Hill, two very formidable Class C opponents, and both within their league as well. So they face year-round competition. They're used to teams like this.
Again, Homer only 10-2. Like you said, this team is a force in this section, as you see a great takeaway there from Brooke Bort. Able to finally intercept that slow-moving Homer offense.
And that's what Bort has done all season, and here comes Kessler down the lane. The freshman. Absolute standout, and she punches it in. What else did you expect? Maris Kessler gets the Red Rams on the board first. They strike 1-0.
Maris Kessler going coast to coast there. She gets that outlet pass right around the 50-yard line, and she takes it all by herself. She weaves through that Homer defense. Let's see it one more time.
The freshman already with her 28th goal this season. An absolute standout, and has provided so much to this JD offense, losing a ton of seniors from last year, and has really just given them that extra boost.
Really makes you wonder. I think Lacrosse kind of runs in this Kessler family. We saw Gannon Kessler that stood for the boys lacrosse team, and now we got Maris. It's a real family effort here for JD Lacrosse.
Hey, we got a couple families within this JD program that just have so many options to choose from within their children, and they're all so successful. So the Kesslers, just another one of those families. And that face-off able to go back to Homer, so what can they do now in response?
Homer came out the gate with a pretty slow-moving offense, but it looks like they're trying to rush that just a little bit more as you see a shot coming out, but the ball will stay with Homer. They're definitely trying to rush this. They find themselves in a hole very early on, not a position you want to be in.
Yeah, and that shot might have gone, but Riley Markert put some stiff defense down below and was able to knock it out. So now they reset with Ruse at the top of the helm.
Here's Ruse sizing up her matchup. Is able to ditch it down, but JD is not letting anything pass. And Brooke Bort recovers it. That was just a defensive spectacle by JD.
Physicality is what we're seeing from the Red Rams so far, and it's turned out 2 defensive possessions, 2 turnovers, and now we got Hildreth in transition. Look out. And Caroline Stone just comes up short on that shot attempt. But again, when these Red Rams are able to get into transition, that is when I believe they are the most dangerous team.
Absolutely. We've seen it twice already, one of which resulted in a goal. And another defensive stop here from JD.
And that was Calabro that tried to go underhand with the shot, but that one was deflected. So they'll try and reset.
And again with this JD offense, they are a fast-moving group of girls. They will get this stop down here. You see Homer kind of reverting back to that slower style of play. But if JD can even get just a little whiff of an opening in this Homer offense, they will take that and run with it, as we just saw 2 times in a row.
And now Patriarcher trying to work on Bort. And there comes up nothing there. And another turnover. So the Trojans cannot seem to keep the ball on their side of the field. And are now giving up 3 straight possessions to the Red Rams.
This end of the field with the JD defense and the Homer offense is going to be where this game really comes down to. If JD is able to neutralize these offensive weapons on Homer, it is going to be a long night for Chloe Roos and company. And so far, in these first 5 minutes, that is exactly what we're seeing. Homer cannot catch a break.
Oh, and Caroline Stone tried to find the cutter coming across the goal. Unable to quite sync that up, but Kessler will be there to retain. So now they'll slow things down just a bit and look for another good opportunity.
And JD, they have that cushion with a lead. Doesn't look like they're really rushing anything too much. They're just able to play very methodical, and that's where they're going to thrive.
And you say a lead, but in a game of this type of magnitude, a 1-goal lead is not safe by any means. These teams are so well matched up. And again, I mentioned it before, but it's every possession that counts. As Hildreth tries to go across the goal there, but just a little bit too much on it.
And like you were saying, this game can change at any moment. That just speaks to the quality of both of these teams. They're able to change the course of the game so quickly. They have so many just electrifying athletes. Anyone on this field can change a game in a split second. That's exactly what you want from a team as good as Homer and as good as JD.
But you can see now Homer showing some of their defensive strength. Not giving JD any clear window to score. As then comes Ballatin weaving and moving. But again, just comes up short. And that one will go back to the Red Rams.
Ballatin with just a great move, getting around a couple defenders there. Tries to go for the bouncer. Couldn't quite get it past Sovokul, but just a really great attack. As you see Ballatin in here again. And it goes the same way. Sovokul is not having that.
Sovokul remaining cool under the pressure that is this Jamesville-DeWitt offense. Sovokul 81 saves on the season with a 54% save percentage.
And so far, she's looked unfazed to this JD offense right now. It took her a little bit to get started, obviously allowing that one goal. But she's really come into her own in these last couple minutes. Definitely an encouraging sight to see for the Homer defense.
And now comes Chloe Ruse in transition. This is a girl the Red Rams have to stop.
And we know JD has been game planning for Ruse probably all week long. They had her circled on that score sheet. They know exactly what she brings. But at the same time, she's so unpredictable. She's such a great offensive weapon that you never know what could be coming at you. You just know that it will come eventually. And you have to throw as much as you can defensively at Chloe Ruse to try and just slow her down. Because you know the goals will come. It's all about just slowing her down.
Slow her down is their job indeed. But right now, this Homer offense, again, is just being clamped up. The physicality of the Red Rams is not quite enough on that possession. Chloe Ruse able to come up with it and punches it in, ties this thing up at 1.
That was a hard-nosed finish by Chloe Ruse. She was digging around. We'll see it one more time. She was digging around. She had 3-4 defenders circling her. She was able to scoop up the ground ball right before any JD defender. And just speaks to the skill level of Chloe Ruse that she is able to command that much attention when she's so close to the goal.
And you see the facts right in front of your screen. The Homer all-time points leader, 283 goals and assists. In 2022, we mentioned 63 goals, now 64, 19 assists. And she scored 37% of all Homer goals this season, committed to the University of Albany, a Division I school. And you can see just why they're going after a talent like this.
And another thing I love to see on that report on Chloe Ruse, she is a two-sport athlete. She plays volleyball as well. Very great volleyball player. And it's definitely such a weapon as we see JD recover the draw. It's definitely such a weapon to have so many multi-sport athletes on your team. As we see with Sydney Ballatin right here, most of this JD team, in fact, would play a second sport.
Finding Endries underneath. Razzle-dazzle. Campbell Endries gives the Red Rams the lead, and we're back and forth here in DeWitt.
JD wasted absolutely no time. They got right out of that draw. Sydney Ballatin taking up the middle, finds the open pass with Campbell Endries, and that's as simple as it gets. You've got your attacker rolling in the perfect spot right in the middle of the goal. That is all you need. Great play by Sydney Ballatin, just a heads-up pass, and great off-the-ball movement by Campbell Endries.
And one of the things I wrote down in my notes here, I'm looking at it in bold. When they convert the draws for Jamesville-DeWitt, look out. This team is so efficient. As soon as they get that ball and are right into transition, they have so many athletes positioned around that goal, and they can score in just a heartbeat like they did just now.
And Homer definitely needs to take note of that. You cannot have a lapse in judgment, even for a second. If JD is able to recover a draw so quickly like they just did, and you have a midfielder like Ballatin or Hildreth coming right down the middle, you don't have time to react. You don't have time to sit around and wait for her to come to you. You have to be attentive at all times. And I
look
think
at
we saw a little lapse in judgment there.
Yeah, but the hustle from Ballatin trying to make up for that lost draw won't be enough. But perhaps sends a message as Patriarcho. Now we're going to slow things down.
And we're already seeing a lot of physicality in this game. Not something that girls lacrosse is known for just based on the rules according to checking that surround the sport. But that definitely leaves room for a lot of physicality there. And these athletes know that. And they know that that is one of the keys to this game. You have to be willing to draw first blood.
And you see the physicality right there as Calabro just knocked over Brooke Bort. Yeah, we got to take one more look at that. Brooke Bort in charge position and takes it like a champ. That one will go back to Jamesville-DeWitt.
Brooke Bort, only a sophomore, but she has had a ton of lacrosse experience. She's probably made that play a couple times, and she is not afraid to back down, no matter who's charging at her.
And a nice play by Hildreth to save that one from going out of bounds. And now she'll try and work her way around the goal. Tried to find Durkin underneath, they'll reset.
And that was Barclay trying to make the pass as well. Just a little bit sloppy with that passing there, but JD is still able to retain possession.
Yeah, and Barclay coming back in her first game after being out a few. A nice return for this team and much needed attack support as that one just flies over the head of Durkin.
It looks like one of the keys for JD right now is just going to be the communication. We've seen a little bit of sloppy passing in these last couple plays. Not something you want to see, especially in the beginning, but they've got a lot of time to work this out, and they've been able to mount a lead even despite these challenges.
Yeah, and Sova Cool fired that one into traffic, but Calabro came up with it. And now the Trojans trying to march down to the goal. But that one goes over the top of Patriarcho.
Speaking of sloppy passing, we see it on the other side. You have to be able to take care of the ball in this situation, especially in these middle channels of the field. As we see a little bit of a tussle here. Looks like Homer will recover it.
And it's that constant pestiness from the Red Rams that got him that turnover. That's Nikki Malidi in her first action here tonight.
Nikki Malidi making me eat my words a little bit. I thought Homer had that one, but she is just absolutely tenacious. She was not about to let that go. She was willing to dig down, get into that turf, and do whatever she needed to get that ball.
And then it's in games like these where you need that type of effort and hustle from your team. It's who wants it more, and that's what we're going to find out at the end of this game.
Exactly. The word I've been using a lot in these broadcasts recently is gritty. Something I think characterizes most of JD sports, all of it in fact. We just got a ton of athletes that are always willing to leave everything on the field. We just saw it with Nikki Malady. We saw it before with Brooke Bort. These athletes, they know that there is no I in team. They work together so well. And it comes out in plays like that we just saw Macy Durkin missing the point-blank shot, but JD still able to keep possession.
And that one is able to be turned over by the Trojans. Had so many shots on goal in that last possession. But Homer stands tall, and now let's see what they can do. The little flip pass. And she is just rattled. That was Hannah Slade, who felt the wrath of Teresa Grosso.
Hannah Slade drawing some contact there, as we'll see right now. But it looks like she will get the advantage here.
Yeah, they'll have the 8-meter opportunity. So can she tie this thing up at 2? Slade driving inside, and that one fires left. Some pressure from Parker and Markert on the outsides. And a clutch defensive stop.
That is exactly how you want to handle that defensive situation there for JD. They were able to close out just in time. Looks like the Homer attacker just took a little bit too much time with the ball in her stick. And it paid off, and JD is back on that counterattack. Seems like I'm going to be saying this a lot today. JD is always quick to attack.
And now Durkin will reset things going behind the cage.
And with just about 12 minutes left in this first half, it's only 2-1. Before this game, we were kind of predicting what we were thinking for some score. We were thinking something in the teens, maybe 15-13, around that area. That was my guess at least. But so far, we're not quite seeing that offensive volume.
Yeah, both of these teams just trying to kind of feel each other out and get an idea of what their strategies are and what they're trying to game plan against them. But the game plan works there as Lindsay Hildreth slides that one past Sova Cool and puts the Red Rams up with a little bit of cushion.
Lindsay Hildreth is an elite offensive talent here. She was able to get that pass a little over her head. Doesn't matter to her, though. She is able to take that down, control it like she's done so many times this season for JD, and she's able to extend this lead to 2 goals. It is now 3-1 with just about 11:40 in this first half remaining.
And Hildreth gets her 31st goal of this 2022 season. And Brooke Bort will check back in for Nikki Malidi. But you're right, you're talking about the offensive pacing of this game so far. Both of these teams are so highly powered on that offensive side. We will look at JD. They're averaging 14.7 goals a game. They're allowing 6 goals a game. And you look at Homer, they're averaging 14 goals a game. So both of these teams can produce some fireworks. But when they're so evenly matched in a game like this, you're seeing just 2 unstoppable forces collide with immovable objects.
Yeah, this game will definitely be an outlier in their goals per game stat as far as we're seeing right now. But we talked about this in the boys game recently against Horseheads, I believe, that this is the most fun lacrosse. The low-scoring games are the most fun to watch because you know that every single goal matters that much more. It is truly a game of just a few points, and it will stay that way all day long.
And the turnover from Grosso has the Red Rams in transition. A little bit of scuffing there on the ground, but Durkin able to come up with it.
And JD are back on the attack. They have not let Homer in at all. They have been absolutely relentless here. Homer hasn't had the ball in a couple minutes, I feel like.
And whenever they have been able to get that over onto their side of the field. It's been a quick turnover. So the Red Rams keeping that pressure on, foot on the gas, and just taking shots at will.
Here we see a bit of a slow approach as well. They're not rushing. They know what situation they're in. And they know how to look for the best shot available. They're not going to rush anything. You see some cutting right around the goal there. But this is where the magic really happens. When you've got the facilitation right on the outside. And they're just being patient, waiting for the opportunity to come up.
Yeah, and when they're not in transition, this JD offense will wait for a cutter like that to slice across that field, giving them a nice moving shot. That one's no good, but they'll try and reset. They find Kessler. And again, that one's over the top. Sovakul able to recover.
Sovakul facing some pressure there from Brooke Bort. She's able to keep her cool. And she is able to make that outlet pass. Some great distribution we're seeing from Sovakul.
But both of these teams have a little bit of a sloppy passing going on in this first quarter. Haven't been able to be consistent with some of their passes as Hildreth is whacked there. And they'll keep possession.
And definitely that is one of the biggest points I've noticed from this game. Neither team has really been able to get a lot going on offense, especially because of just that, that difficulty with passing. And it's been really difficult, especially for Homer, just moving it up the field. I've seen them misplace a couple passes right now, and it just kills the whole momentum of the offense. And as we know, momentum is one of the strongest forces in the universe. If that is disrupted, you have no shot at getting back on this scoreboard.
And now the Red Rams trying to extend their lead on the scoreboard as Endries will circle things around. Endries getting a lot more playing time in these recent games than she was earlier in the season, but making her impact so far with 15 goals and 2 assists on the year.
And just speaking to that, this JD team is so loaded with so many options. As you see Hildreth working.
Hildreth inside. Oh, and that one goes off the side of Sovakul's net. But this Trojan defense is standing tall to the challenge. Other teams may have given up much more goals at this point just to take that onslaught from these JD attackers.
Absolutely. Homer is definitely feeling good about this one. Obviously, they're down, but they're able to limit this JD offense. And like I was saying, JD has so many weapons. They have such a deep bench. It may not look like it. They've only got a couple subs, but every single player on this team is able to get into this game at any point and make a difference. We've seen that in other sports too. JD always has such a deep bench. And unfortunately, sometimes it results in some unequal playing time for some great players. But as we see, we can find some diamonds in the rough, like you were saying with Campbell Endries and so many others.
So now Ruse gets the Trojans going on offense. They're pushing the tempo. And they're able to convert. That's Hannah Slade off the one-footed shot. And she launches a rocket into that top left spot of the goal. The Trojans strike back. Down 3-2 with here just about 7.5 minutes left remaining.
And Homer finally able to take control of this fast break. Chloe Roos being the one that was able to facilitate there, creating that opportunity, finding the cutting Hannah Slade. And Homer is able to chip away at this JD lead. They are not going to make it comfortable for JD at any point.
We take a look at the score report there for the Red Rams, or the opponent's shot percentage for the Red Rams. They love that left side of the field, and especially with a righty goalie like Kaib, it's a little bit easier to pick their spots on that side.
And that's exactly what we just saw. Targeting some of those weak spots for Kaib is going to be the key for Homer.
And now Ruse gets the draw for the Trojans. So they're back on offense in a hurry.
And Homer are definitely feeding off of this momentum that we just saw. Just were able to get one goal. They retain possession immediately. That's exactly what you want to see. Picking off right where they left off. Coming back from a goal, and they want to get one back to even this up. And it looks like they're playing with a little bit more urgency now. Trying to get those options moving just a little bit quicker. As they know how close they are now. They were just able to get a foot in the door. That's all they needed.
Tried to find Ruse cutting inside. That one was stumped by Lauren Parker. But they're able to keep it in their hands. We mentioned it earlier. We're looking at a potential sectional Class C championship matchup. Both of these teams are the top-ranked teams within Class C. And they've been absolutely lights out so far this season. A rematch from last year. JD bounced Homer in the sectional semis in a very close game, something we're already seeing reminiscent of this one here tonight. Low scoring, very heavily defensive. So what's on the line is a little bit more than just a W.
And definitely a preview for a possible postseason appearance as we see another defensive shutdown there from JD. But these teams, I think they know that this might just be a preliminary match between the two. They think that they're going to see each other again. Just based on the records of these two teams, they are two of the fiercest opponents in Section 3 Class C. And if all else is lost, this will be a scouting opportunity.
And look at Ballatin putting on the wheels. Tried to find Durkin and just a few inches short of getting that one home. But just look at Ballatin put on the wheels, the burners, and pass everybody. Going 95 in the Nissan Altima on the left side of the highway is Ballatin.
Sydney Ballatin isn't going to pick up a speeding ticket there. But, you know, it really could come at any moment. She is such a spark plug. We've seen this. She was our indoor track teammate. She is a speedster. And it translates well on the lacrosse field, too. She is able to move this ball so quickly.
And that shot from Cameron Calabro was just nonchalantly scooped up by Lucy Kibe.
Lucy Kibe, the freshman, playing with a lot of confidence here. As we know, goalie is one of the toughest positions in any sport. Requires so much critical thinking, so much confidence, and it's so hard for just someone who's only in 9th grade to do this, but Lucy Kibe has filled those shoes perfectly. She's been exactly what this Red Rams team is needed.
You have 44 saves on the season, a 51 save percentage. So already doing bright things early in her career. But I've got to question the sweatpants here on a night like this. It's 85 degrees here as things getting chippy there between Fiona Hartnett and Lindsay Hildreth. But now here comes Durkin. Finds Kate underneath. But again, Sova Cool keeping her composure and just deflecting these shots left and right.
What a perfect opportunity there for JD. Looks like Durkin may have bobbled it a little bit, but that was looking like an easy 3-on-1, 2-on-1 breakaway there. JD just unable to capitalize. That's definitely something that they would not be happy with that slipped away from them.
But Parker turns that one over, and Ballatin back in position.
And even with a missed opportunity there, JD is able to recover that. As we find a cutting Ballatin, and she's able to slide that right past Sovocool. Ballatin was in the perfect spot at the perfect time. Gets the feed from Maris Kessler. That is exactly what you want.
Business as usual for Sydney Ballatin. This is just what she does. Her 18th goal on the year to add to 22 assists. And the Red Rams, again, just when you thought things were slowing down a little bit on offense, they had a couple possessions get stopped. They keep that pressure on the Trojans and finally convert. They're up 4-2 with just about 4 minutes left.
Sydney Ballatin coming in like a thief in the night. That Homer defense didn't even have a chance. She slid right in there.
The Pop Smoke reference. I love it.
You have to have it.
So now Kessler and Ruse, who've matched up all first half, will do it again here. But the Trojans right now just about half a step behind the Red Rams as they're trying to just claw back by goal. And again, they're only down 2 goals. This is a very tight game, but JD so far has proved they're comfortable with the ball in their hands.
But with the frequency or lack thereof of goals that we've been seeing right now, we know that 2 goals is going to be hard to come by. Both of these defenses are just able to bear down. They're not letting anything get by. 2 goals is not as easy as it would be in a normal game for either of these teams right now. Hence why it's only 4-2.
So JD back to slowing things down on offense. Durkin, the facilitator. And Ballatin will wait her turn and finds Durkin underneath. The alley-oop pass from Ballatin to Durkin connection proves valiant again.
Kobe and Shaq? Nope. Just Sydney Ballatin and Macy Durkin. Just such a great connection there. These 2 girls are familiar with each other. They know how to play together. And you see that right there. That is a perfect heads-up play by Sydney Ballatin. And Macy Durkin with the elite off-ball movement. That is exactly what you want to see with just about 3 minutes on this clock going into halftime.
Yeah, that was JD offense, ran to perfection, just waiting your time, lulling your opponent to sleep, and then just when you have them off guard, you fire one right to the top and find a Macy Durkin just lurking underneath with the goal.
Durkin is lurking. I love that one.
And again, the Red Rams get that draw conversion, and Hildreth's off to the races. That one was poked loose, but they'll call it a checking foul.
And we've seen quite an uptick in the JD offense, just in terms of their urgency that they're playing with. And they've been able to get 2 goals in quick succession pretty quickly here.
Yeah, and that ability to just score in these little bursts like that is so vital to games like this, where they're so close for a long period of time, and then all of a sudden one team's able to break loose. And in a game like this, that can mean just everything.
Of course, Lacrosse is a game of runs, and if you just slip for one moment, it's always the team with the strongest mental attitude that will come out victorious. You cannot go to sleep just for a second, because there are weapons all over this field on both sides.
Yeah, and JD showed a lot of mental toughness in their last matchup against Watertown. They were able to win 14-12, but there was a moment there they gave up a couple goals in succession. It was tied up with a couple minutes remaining, as Durkin again is denied by Sova Cool.
But JD's still able to retain possession. They're going to keep getting these chances, even though they've been shut down a couple times. The frequency at which they are attacking is just absolutely sure to provide so many opportunities in proportion to Homer.
Yeah, a team of this caliber shooting this much is bound to convert a couple. But again, this Trojan defense is standing tall. But a huge play there from Grosso. And she is always there to make the play that's there to be made. Creates so many turnovers on this defense. And in Lacrosse, a turnover just means about everything.
And Grosso is one of those hustle players for JD. She's stronger than a lot of her competition. She's able to win those 50-50 balls a majority of the time. And she shows up. She might not show up on the stat sheet as much as she's just a defender, but she shows up in every single way. And you know who else shows up in every single way? Sydney Ballatin. She is able to creep right in there, face-to-face with Sovacool. And she makes this game 6-2. Nick, what do you think about that?
Ooh la la is what I think. Sydney Ballatin in traffic, able to just slice that one past Sova Cool. And now the Red Rams comfortably in control with just about a minute left until halftime. This is the exact position that they want to be in.
Ballatin, I think she kind of snuck up on Sovacool. It wasn't until they were face-to-face that she realized, oh, Sydney Ballatin is right in front of me, and by then it is just too late. Sydney Ballatin wasting no time.
So already her second goal tonight. And the Red Rams up 4. But again, it starts with the draw.
And JD's been able to control it a lot of the time, resulting in some quick opportunities to get on that fast break. And we see it one more time. Sydney Ballatin just using that burst of speed in those close areas. She's able to get that ground ball. And JD have just about 48 seconds here to get one final attacking opportunity to get into halftime with a comfortable cushion.
And most likely will chew a lot of that clock before they end up taking a shot. Well, I'm eating my words. They tried to find Hildreth underneath. But again, guess who? It's Teresa Grosso, just coming up with another turnover.
Teresa Grosso is the punisher of this team. And defense turns into great offense. Macy Durkin with a silky finish. She's able to fake out Sovacool doing some stick tricks.
Yeah, and it happens just like that on this JD team. A quick defensive stop turns right into another goal. They are just pouring it on here at the end of this first half.
And just look at the stick movement there by Macy Durkin. She was throwing fakes left and right. Sovacool was getting cross-eyed there. Macy Durkin is just she's such a crafty player. I've seen that in basketball too. She might not have the most orthodox game, but she knows how to get it done. And she plays with so much swag and so much confidence, and we saw that right there. She's always willing to make some highlight plays.
And now Kessler going to take the draw herself. And that's, I believe, 3 in a row for the Red Rams, all resulting in them back on offense and another opportunity to push this thing open.
They've got 8 seconds here. They just want to get a shot off just in time. They got to be mindful of this clock.
Weren't able to get the shot off just quite in time, but that's the exact way you look to end that first half if you're the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. They're leading 7-2 at the end of this first half, and a huge run in those last 5 minutes to really push them and open up that lead is what did it. Ballotson already 2 goals, Durkin another 2, and a couple others with 1. We'll see you right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
one, Mike's one high.
Welcome back to Jamesville-DeWitt High School here in DeWitt, New York. We're at halftime here in what is a amazing matchup between the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams and the Homer Trojans. JD firmly in control right now. Went on a bit of a run to end that first half. Now they find themselves up 5 goals heading into the second half. This is the place you want to be.
Exactly. JD were able to strike when the iron was hot. They got about 3 goals right there in that last couple 5 to 7 minute range. They were able to make the most of that opportunity. It was a little bit slow starting off, but once they got into the groove of this game, there was clearly no stopping them as they were able to just get a couple past Sarasova cool.
And now we take a look at the series history between these two teams, both within Class C. They've played each other a good amount within these last decade or so. You look back, this is the 13th meeting of all time. It goes back to 2008, and JD leads the series 12-0. Homer has never beaten Jamesville-DeWitt in girls lacrosse. The average score being 15-7 JD, so firmly taking control of Homer in all of their matchups. And the average score at JD at home here, it's 16-9 in favor of Jamesville-DeWitt.
So this is clearly a lopsided history between the two, but that's not really something we've seen as of late. You know, JD and Homer met last year. It was a very close game. It's still very close here, but there's nothing like a good shutout as we see with this last meeting.
Yeah, and this goes back to last year's sectional semifinals where these two teams met on June 10th. This was at Homer. They won. Jamesville-DeWitt was victorious 9-7. Ballatin with 2 goals and an assist, and Calabro with 3 goals and 2 assists, but just proved to not be enough. So you have to believe that's in the back of these Homer's players' minds when they get back to this field is, are we going to let this team do what they did to us last year? Remember that feeling. Is that something you want to feel again, and how much are you willing to give in order to change the outcome of this game?
It's all about the shared trauma between this Homer team. They've got a lot of returning players. Although there's been a lot of roster turnover between both of these teams, they have the veterans on this team that have had these experiences, and they know what it's like when this doesn't go their way, and they want to capitalize on this opportunity to see this JD team just one more time. They know the feeling of losing to JD, and they want to return the favor.
So will Homer be able to break the streak in this series history? We'll find out after these next 25 minutes of lacrosse action, as both of these teams just huddling up for the last time and getting ready to take the field.
And I have a feeling in this second half, we're going to see a lot of urgency from Homer. And rightfully so. They need this to happen. They fell into a hole very, very quickly at the end of that first half. And they're going to need some quick offensive firepower. Chloe Roos, their top scorer, has been pretty quiet today. That could be a result of some of her options offensively just not really delivering as well. But we see JD's defense just absolutely shutting her down. They've had the perfect response to her so far, and it's working out. But we'll see if they can maintain it for another 25 minutes.
And for both of these teams, it starts with the draw. If Homer's able to get a couple of these in succession, that's easy offensive opportunity and a lot of pressure they're able to put on JD. Homer also needs to be a little bit more predictable and precise with their passing. A lot of sloppy and really unmistakable errors in that first half that cost them a lot of goal opportunities. So will they be able to fix it in the second half? Let's find out.
And that's been one of the main trends in that first half. As you see a little tussle there, looks like Lindsay Hildreth will be able to get that out to Maris Kessler.
What an effort play to open this first half from Hildreth. Falling on the ground, gets it to Durkin, fending off 2 defenders.
And that's just a gritty play. We've seen that so many times. Lindsay Hildreth was able to spin around.
And Caroline Stone's able to finish the play. CC Stone wraps that thing around Sova Cool, and the Red Rams have not skipped a beat. They take this 8-2 already.
Exactly. You see Stone, just a great dodge right there, is able to spin right past her defender. That defender was clearly lagging behind. It only took her 24 seconds to get that. CC Stone is an electric player. Was able to strike so quickly. And JD continuing what they had in the first half, like no time has even gone by.
Yeah, and now immediately that sets the tone for the rest of the second half. They say, hey, we just beat up on you guys to end this first half, and we're going to keep doing it unless you find a way to stop us. So Homer has got to find an answer and show a little bit of toughness. And as you mentioned, a little bit of grit as well.
And you can say that all you want. But in the end, that clock is still going to be ticking. If they can't find an answer quick enough, this clock is just going to keep going down. and they will find themselves scrambling with not a lot of time left.
And if there's anyone that has the answer, that's Chloe Ruse. So already a quick shot on that possession for the Trojans. Nothing converted there, but they keep possession.
And now you see them scrambling. You know what happens when you start to scramble? You start to lose focus very quickly. You start to make those little lapses in judgment. And Sydney Ballatin knows that exactly. She's able to blaze down the center of the field.
Oh, and that's an excellent defensive play from Sova Cool. Had a 2-on-1, but just positioned herself right in front of it and intercepted that. What would most likely have been a goal.
It's an unselfish play there from Durkin, getting that feed from Ballatin. She probably could have shot that on her own. She decided to try and make that pass across, but Sova Cool was having none of it.
And so now Ruse right back at the helm. And you wonder what must be going through her mind. The leading scorer for the Trojans, 63 on the season, but only one here tonight in their only 2 goals.
Exactly. Chloe Roos, she's one of those type of players that is always going to be aware of the circumstance she finds herself in. She's such a high IQ player, and she's the real focal point of this offense, as we know. And we're going to see her a lot in this second half, just trying to facilitate this offense as best as she can. She's going to be trying to get open, but the best part of her game is by finding other people getting open.
And Lucy Kibe stands tall in the goal, able to stop that shot. The Trojans will keep possession.
Just a little sloppy there from the Trojans. The ball was bouncing around there a little bit. We see it again right there. Another missed pass. It ends up with them again, but that is not something you want to be seeing. They have not been able to get into a rhythm at all today. Just with the infrequency and the inability to make a quick succession of a couple passes in a row, they have been completely slowed down, and they just can't get into that rhythm that they're so used to.
And as much as that is to be fixed by Homer, you have to give credit to the Jamesville-DeWitt defense for just being so pesky and physical on that side of the ball. As you see there, a checking foul might result in an 8-meter attempt. And it will. That's Roos, the main girl for these Homer Trojans. And this could be a turning point in tonight's game. What can Roos do with the ball? And that one is slapped out of the stick by Lauren Parker. A huge stop there with Roos taking that open shot. Parker came out of nowhere and just smacked it out of bounds. What a huge stop. And it seems that every single player is making plays here tonight for the Red Rams. Everyone is stepping up in some way.
And for someone like Chloe Roos, when she's only 8 meters away from you as a goalie and as a defensive unit, that is one of the scariest sights to see in anyone in Section 3 lacrosse. And to that tune, Chloe Roos is able to prove why she's just so lethal. She's able to scoop that one up just mere seconds after that failed attempt.
Yeah, and the continued pressure, just finding her way, bobbing and weaving around the traffic, and puts that one top right on Lucy Kibe. That's tough for a freshman to defend.
Absolute snipe there from Chloe Roos. She's had a little bit of trouble getting her teammates involved and just getting this whole offense flowing. But a good thing about a player like her is that at times she can be the entire offense. She doesn't even need surrounding players some of the time. That's how insanely effective she is on that end of the field. And we saw it right there. She didn't even need any help. She was able to scoop the ground ball and do it herself.
And now Homer showing signs of a pulse. Can they keep it up? They get the draw. That's step number 1.
You guys, your tennis
And
just became champs.
Cameron Calabro now slows things down. I think we just got some breaking news here in the booth. Our JD boys tennis team,
Conference champs, SCAC Empire.
yeah, just became our conference championships, the SCAC Empire Division, so congrats to them. A
Great
great
job to
program
that
they have
program.
there. As Ruse hits the deck, excuse me, that's Gracie Patriarcho.
And speaking of tennis, we're just seeing another, yet again, a dominant sport in JD as we're about to get an 8-meter attempt here. But just continuing the tradition of excellence in JD. Congratulations, tennis team.
So what can Patriarcho do? She'll dish and dive that one to Roos, who comes up just short on the shot attempt. A nifty play there from the Trojans. but just falls short as Ruse couldn't get quite enough control on it. You have to applaud the play design there. I haven't seen many things like that this season.
Yeah, I was expecting just an easy shot there from Patriarcho. I think it kind of threw this JD defense off the scent a little bit. She was able to find her best attacking weapon, as they will so many times.
And it's moments like that where you have to convert. When you're down big in a game like this, you have the opportunity and you just can't come up with it. You know Homer might be kicking themselves in the foot after that one. But again, some sloppy play on the offensive side. And that lands in the stick of Maris Kessler. The freshman standout has it taken away by Ruse.
And Ruse getting it done on both sides. You just saw her come up a little bit short with an offensive attempt. She's able to track all the way back onto Maris Kessler, make that play, and able to stop a clear breakaway from JD as it looks like we will head into a timeout.
Yeah, it looked like it could have been Jamesville-DeWitt. Yep, it is. JD electing to take their first timeout of this entire game. We actually saw in the last game against Watertown, both teams took 2 timeouts within the first half, something you rarely see at the girls' high school level. But JD finding a need to have the ball and trying to drop a nice play to potentially set them up.
And they definitely just want to slow this down just a little bit.
And now we take a look at the season changes so far for the Red Rams. From their first 5 games to now the last 5 games. Within that first half, and in almost every category, the percentage has gone up. You look at shot percentage, that's gone up about 5%. Possession percentage, that's been huge. 45 to 58%, that's a big swing. And then you look at the save percentage. That is the one statistic that has gone down from the first 5 games to the last 5 games, that being 35% in those first 5 to 21% in these last 5 games. And again, fouls per game is a huge category for these Red Rams, who are very physical on both sides of the ball, but need to find a way to control that. They've done that in these last 5, taking that average down a whole 10 fouls a game. But you look at that save percentage, and you got to wonder what things are trying to rattle Lucy Kaib. I know they've had a tougher schedule, but what kind of things, would affect something like that?
And I think something really important for Lucy Kaib is just, she really needs to get acclimated to this varsity team. In her first 5 games, she was incredible, but as you get into this long season, it's a grind. It's tough for someone that's never experienced it before, and especially in the goal, such a mentally challenging position. You have to always be alert, and over the course of a long season, that can be really difficult. And it looks like in these last 5 games, we've seen just a little bit of a regression from her. But even despite that regression, we've seen an uptick in the rest of those positive stats from JD, as they've still been able to maintain that dominance that they have all season long.
And dominance has been put on display so far here tonight. They lead 8-3 with about 19 and a half minutes left in this second half.
And speaking of Lucy Kaib, we see a couple of her teammates, a couple of her defenders just hyping her up a little bit. She definitely needs that pick-me-up. She is still up. She's having a great game, but it's always important to keep that confidence going with your teammates at all times.
Yeah, and you really can't overstate the impact that can have, especially from a senior or a junior. Someone there to kind of give you that leadership and that boost to say, hey, let's go. You're doing a great job. Keep your head up, and let's go win this thing.
The mentorship is one of the great aspects of this JD team. We have representatives from every single grade on this team right now, on this field right now. We got 9th through 12th out here right now. Just such a great program that will continue this tradition of excellence. They are always able to recycle, and every player is able to improve on their last performances. As you see a shot just skying right over from Lindsay Hildreth.
You could hear the crowd gasp at that one. You're not going to find much better shots than that. Hildreth driving across the lane. A beautiful opportunity on that right side, but just a little bit too much mustard on it. And the Red Rams able to keep things going.
And Lindsay Hildreth, speaking of senior leadership and mentorship, she's been on this team for a couple of years now. She knows what it's like. She started out like some of these freshmen like Maris Kessler and Lucy Kaib, just trying to, make her way up the ranks, learn as much as she can about the game from her senior leaders. And now she's found herself in that position. It's a real, Jedi to Padawan relationship. I'm not sure if that's the correct terminology.
No, you're right.
Jedi Padawan?
You're spot
All right.
on. Yeah.
All right, just making sure there. Climbing up the ranks, earning your spot on this team, and then making the difference in the future. That is exactly what JD does in every sport.
And it looks like Homer's coming out with a bit of a different defensive strategy so far. In that first half, they had what was called a backer type of defensive front. Number 19, that's Lily Sorensen, was basically tracking the ball for that entire first half. And obviously proved to be a bit challenging towards the end. So they made the switch, and it obviously has paid off a little bit to start the second half.
Yeah, Sorensen was really struggling there to get in front of her attacker there, especially in that first half. Just not able to move past these JD attackers.
And Macy Durkin just stole Sova Cool's lunch money. Oh my word, Macy Durkin just putting all the moves, pressing B, X, A, and Y, and is able to slice that thing past Sova Cool to put the Red Rams up 9-3.
Earlier in the game, I called Sydney Ballatin a thief in the night. Looks like we got a couple of thieves on this team. Committing some burglary there. Like you said, stealing the lunch money of Sova Cool. Macy Durkin taking names. We're not going to say the other part of that on air. But she is just lethal. She knows exactly what to do in that situation. And she is making Sova Cool pay. Just punishing her.
And for Coach Murphy, that's the ideal situation. You come out of the timeout, you draw up the perfect play, and you get the opportunity and convert. That's what they've done so far tonight, and just a little bit more efficient than the Trojans.
Absolutely. Hats off to the JD coach there.
And
That
now-
is exactly what you want in a timeout.
And now comes Ballatin down the lane. Moving at high speeds, but she'll slow things down. And again, you look to the draws. JD has been fantastic in that category here tonight as Hildreth adding to the total. Just pouring it on. Lindsay Hildreth.
Something I learned a very long time ago, playing video games with my uncle, playing FIFA soccer. He taught me POMO, POMO, point of most opportunity. That is the place where you will thrive. And that is exactly where Lindsay Hildreth was just there. She was able to come right across the middle of the goal, find herself right in the spot where you want her to be, making the perfect catch, and that's just as simple as it gets. That is a perfect finish there.
And Hildreth, one of the captains on this team, now 32 goals on the year, and doing just about everything the Red Rams ask her to do. Guard the best player on the team, on their opposing team, score a bunch of goals, and play midfield and just run up and down this field the entire game. She answers the call every time.
And you see her once again, along with Sydney Ballatin, making that fight in the middle of the field. Looks like it will go JD's way.
And it looks like Hildreth's stick, the top of her stick just fell off completely. So she'll go to the bench and look to get a backup.
Definitely a first for me in lacrosse. Looks like Hildreth is trying to get a little swap out right there. Little equipment malfunction there. Not something we're used to seeing.
And Sova Cool finally puts a stop to this Red Rammed onslaught and is able to save the chop from Kessler there, keeping things where it is.
And Sova Cool has really been the saving grace of this team so far. She has made some mistakes. She's let in some goals. But for the most part, she's been very reliable. We've seen that all season with her. And she's just a presence that you want to have in that goal.
Yeah, a senior goalie, just so experienced. A couple years of varsity playing time, and you could see just why there.
And on this field, like you said, we got the senior leadership in goal of Sova Cool and the freshman inexperience from Lucy Kaib. A nice parallel there, just seeing the changing of the times between these two programs. It's going to be out with the old, in with the new. And this new generation of Homer and JD players are going to duke it out on this field for years to come.
So now Patriarcho trying to find Slade inside, and she does. That's Cameron Calabro. And the Trojans able to strike back. Not done yet.
Cameron Calabro just making a great run there. Able to get a step in front of Grosso. A great, perfectly threaded pass there. And she's able to just turn the shoulder, fire it in, and that's all you need to do. She just gives a little bit of hope to this Homer offense.
And things certainly far from over. About 15 and a half minutes left in this second half of play. And all it takes for a team like Homer is just a little bit of glimpse of hope.
Exactly. We saw this, a very similar pattern at the end of the first half with JD scoring 3 goals in quick succession. this is the turning point for Homer in this game. They're able to get their foot just in the door a little bit, but if they can't make the most out of those opportunities, that door will slam right back in their faces just as quick as it opened.
And Chloe Roos going to make the most out of this trip down on offense.
And Roos commanding so much attention there is able to dump it down to Calabro. I believe that will be a foul there. But Roos, I think she just attracted 3 or 4 defenders in her path to the goal. She is just such a spectacle on offense that all heads need to be turned towards her.
And that's what makes her so dangerous. But here's Cameron Calabro on the 8-meter shot. It's moments like this where you need to convert, and she does. So now Homer with 2 goals back-to-back. And they're down 5 here with 14:46 left.
And this is the momentum swing for Homer. When we look back at this game, if Homer is able to pull this out, this is going to be the turning point here. It's all about how quick you can respond to the crisis. It's all about how quick you can pick yourself up, remind yourself that this game is still going on, and I still have a job to do, and that is exactly what we just saw with Calabro, making the most of that opportunity. It's a gift to even have that opportunity to be able to strike from 8 meters away, and Calabro was not about to squander that chance.
Yeah, and the highest scoring offense in the OHSL shows you just why they've earned that title. It's going to take a lot to really shut the door on them. But here's Hildreth off the draw. Looking to push that tempo. Finds their spot. And that one's just picked off. A beautiful defensive play from Fiona Hartnett. But now she's trying to get out.
I think we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence here for Homer. They've seemed to have caught their second wind as we see a massive battle between Endries, Durkin, and Hartnett. Looks like it will end up with Durkin.
Yeah, that's a huge play. Both of those players just kind of crashing in on Hartnett and able to come up with it.
But like I said, Homer seems to have caught a second wind here. They've scored 2 goals very quickly, followed by a great defensive set there. Everything's clicking.
Yeah, but now it's the Red Rams' turn. How will they respond to a little bit of adversity? Haven't seen much of it tonight.
And really all season, I know they have 3 losses on the season, but they've had a lot of really big wins. You know, against ESM, that was a big blowout. They've had a couple like that. But they're definitely a team that knows what it's like to be down and what it's like to be in an inferior position. And although they're winning, they seem to have lost the momentum just a little bit, and they want to scrap that back together.
Yeah, and one of the few turnovers for the Red Rams here tonight, and now Ruse going to turn on the Jets.
Ruse attempting to go coast to coast. Grosso tries to intercept that pass attempt, and the second challenge is made to slow down Ruse in her path, but it does not matter as Cameron Calabro is able to pick off right where Ruse left off, being the perfect complementary option in this Homer offense.
Calabro gets the hat trick, and the Homer Trojans are marching into this lead. We get another timeout here from Jamesville-DeWitt, and a much-needed one at this. Got to go over a couple defensive things to try and stop this resurgence from Homer.
Exactly. JD, you can kind of see them starting to slip a little bit. Definitely something you want to fix in this huddle. You still got 13 minutes left. This is a lot of time for something to go wrong for JD, but then again, a lot of time for something to go right.
And while we have this time, let's take a look at how these two teams are doing this season side by side. The Red Rams 10-3, Trojans 10-2. The overall rating, this is almost like a Madden rating for any of you who've played video games. JD a little bit more higher ranked in that regard, an 82.4 compared to Homer's 78.9. The strength of schedule, however, is where there's a little bit more difference. For the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams, 76.5 strength of schedule, Homer a 72.8, and then goal differential and section ranking are both very similar. So aside from those two categories, these teams, again, across the board are so evenly matched up.
Exactly. You know, we see a lot of really close stats here, but the most important one to me is this strength of schedule here. Although it's only by a little bit, that just speaks to the experience of this JD team. And I imagine that over the years, they've been able to face so many opponents with this group of girls that has been returning year after year that they've seen almost every team in Section 3 multiple times, even if it's not Homer that they've only played a couple times. They have so much experience facing such great teams that over the years, this program has just built themselves up to a program that can really go against the best in New York State in Section 3. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, you mentioned that strength of schedule just this week for the Red Rams. Let's take a look. Earlier this week, they played Watertown. Now tonight, they're playing Homer. Saturday, senior night against Liverpool. So an absolutely stacked series of events, and you can see probably adding to that strength of schedule. But
Absolutely. That is a gauntlet of a final regular season stretch.
And now a switch has been made. Hildreth has been put on draw in a possible attempt to get a little bit more offense. Let's see if it pays off. It will not on that possession, as Ruse able to get things going, but they slowed her down. Potentially something they also discussed in that timeout.
Yeah, and definitely the switch to Hildreth as the draw, the person handling the draw, that was definitely something important that they wanted to cover in that timeout as well. It didn't work out that time, but that matchup between Roos and Hildreth and all of these attackers and midfielders from both teams has been a common theme here. That big rivalry, they've been going at it all day. And I think the switch from Kessler to Hildreth, man in that draw, is going to be something that definitely Homer will need to adjust to if they want to pull out a stop from this JD team.
And there's some of that JD defense that we saw in the first half that they've lost in these last couple possessions. But now that one goes out of bounds on a little bit of a forced pass from Kai. Maybe some of that freshman moment.
Yeah, I think she kind of rushed that one just a little bit. I think maybe the moment got a little bit too big. She wanted to just get that in and get it out as quick as possible. Wasn't able to make the best pass, and it resulted in another Homer possession.
So things going back to Homer now. And in a game like this, we mentioned it, it comes down to every possession, and Chloe Ruse going to make sure she makes the most of it. The Trojans now within striking distance, down 3 goals now, 7-10.
Chloe Roos is the Trojan horse. She is the just absolute weapon on this team. She will just use her blazing speed to get right by this entire back line of JD. She was able to get one step, and that's all she needs. She's such an experienced player. She's been in that situation probably hundreds of times in her career. She knows exactly what to do. And she makes this Red Rams lead all of a sudden a lot less comfortable.
Yeah, that 4-3 gap might only come up as 1 goal, but it can mean a lot. And now the Red Rams, when things aren't going their way, how will they respond? Cannot find a draw within these last couple attempts, but there's Kessler, and that's a huge play.
Kessler, that play, although it seems simple, I think we're going to look back at that as just a turning point in this game. Homer has taken control of the last couple draws, and the fact that Kessler was able to salvage that play right there gives JD a little bit of time, not just to waste some time on the clock, but to really focus all of their efforts into just making one, very calculated offensive attack that they so desperately need.
And not only that, but also an opportunity to chew some clock off of this as well. Have the lead, want to use that to their advantage. It's not as big as it was earlier in this quarter or in this half, but they can still use that lead as a little bit of cushion. As in comes Brooke Bort, but she's challenged.
And Homer standing their ground. We saw it earlier on. They were really struggling to, maintain this JD movement within that restricted area of 12 meters. But we're seeing them slow it down. JD is not able to attack as frequently as they have. And even when they are able to get through, Sarah Sovacool keeps it cool. That is just such a great play by her. Really wide open shot from JD.
Yeah, and Brooke Bort, that's exactly what you look for on an offensive possession like that. So Sovacool gets the stop, and the Trojans have everything clicking for them right now.
And contrary to her namesake, Sovacool is heating up right now. She's been able to make a lot of really key stops, and that's one of the reasons why JD hasn't scored in a couple minutes now. It's the biggest reason.
But things are getting physical out here. A couple of bodies hitting the turf left and right. We asked at the beginning of the broadcast which team wants it more, and it's really hard to identify right now.
If anyone ever tries to tell you that women's lacrosse is not a physical game, show them that clip. That was an absolute battle between the two JD and Homer players. Just knocking each other over. They're not going to give up an easy opportunity at a ground ball. They're not going to let anyone pass. Both teams know how important this moment is. They've got just about 9 minutes, 20 seconds. This is where the game will be decided right here.
So Homer down 3, looking for something inside. But nothing on that go around. Slade behind the cage. Just patiently waiting, looking for that opportunity.
And although the outside facilitator is patiently waiting, we've seen a lot of movement right around the goal from Homer. Just trying to get as many options firing at once for the best possible opportunity to get in a goal-scoring position.
And that's some excellent defense from the Red Rams as a whistle is blown.
Looked like Ballatin, Hildreth, and Grosso were all just swarming the Homer attacker, but it ends up with an 8-meter opportunity right here.
So here's Calabro, already with the hat trick. But Lucy Kibe stops that thing cold in its tracks.
Let's take another look at that one. Maybe not, but Lucy Kibe, she may be inexperienced in this position, but she pulled off one of the most pivotal plays of this game.
And in what's been a heavily favored offensive second half, we see 2 back-to-back goalie stops be the play to be made.
And we know this defense wins championships. And JD's defense has been firing all night long. Although they've had a little bit of a tough stretch in these past couple minutes, a defense this good will never be able to go away for that long at a time. And we saw it right there. This JD defense is having a resurgence right now at the perfect time.
But so is Sova cool. Oh my word. Left and right, up and down. It does not matter where you shoot. She is in the zone right now. And then sometimes you have the look you want, and there's not much else you can do about it.
Sova Cool is the only thing standing between JD and a trip to the promised land. That being a victory here tonight. Sova Cool is not letting any easy shots go by. She's had a couple opportunities where it's just, there's no one between the ball and her. And she's been able to shut it down every single time. She is such a commanding figure in that goal. She's able to just intimidate these JD attackers so well.
And we
she's
haven't
really
even
threatening them.
We haven't even mentioned the fact that she wears 00. I've never seen that in high school, and I think that's just one of the coolest things.
I absolutely love it. Such a statement move. And we talked about earlier, I think I got cut off a little bit, that she's also wearing pants out here on this warm JD night. It got a little bit cooler recently, but...
And neither of these teams can seem to hold onto the ball right now, as they're just going back and forth with the turnovers, and now it's Ballatin's turn.
And Ballatin kind of signaling with her offhand to get everyone moving a little bit. It looked like she was trying to rally them just a little bit. She realized how important that interception was. She realized that she just won another possession for her team, and she wants to make the most out of it.
And again, with this cushion, 6 minutes left now. JD's still up 3. They can use this clock. Play this game smart until the end. That's how you'll come home with a victory.
JD has their finger on the pulse right now. They know that they're in the power seat right now. They can manage this game. They are going to be the ones to take control.
And guess who? No one else but Lindsay Hildreth is going to get it done for the Red Rams. My goodness. Time and time again, Hildreth answers the bell, and she does it in one of the biggest moments of tonight. With a man all over her face, it does not matter.
That is perfect timing from this JD offense. Lindsay Hildreth. We thought they were going to take their time a little bit, try and chew some clock, but when Lindsay Hildreth makes that run and gets right into the point of most opportunity, you cannot pass up that chance. Lindsay Hildreth, so lethal in front of goal. That could not have come at the perfect time.
It's that Pomo. You were speaking on it earlier. Pomo. So now the Red Rams up 4 with a little under 6 minutes left. And a little bit more cushion.
And this game has been fluctuating between that 3 and 4 goal margin. Got to be noted that you and I were talking at halftime, or excuse me, before the game. We were thinking of a possible over-under. Obviously, we do not condone betting here on JDTV.
No, of course not.
But if you were, hypothetically, we were thinking 3.5. As you see, just a great stop by Lucy Kibe there. Didn't even have to go into the pocket. But as we know, as I was saying right before, this game has been incredibly close in that 3 and 4 goal margin.
And Chloe Roos being guarded heavily by multiple Red Rams. And it's Brooke Bort who's able to come up with it. And that's how you defend a player like Chloe Roos. You get bodies on her. You cannot defend her with just one person.
Lucy Kibe and Brooke Bort able to neutralize the threat of Chloe Roos, as they really have done all day long. And Lucy Kibe getting that distribution, which results in another offensive opportunity with just under 5 minutes here. JD is going to try and chew that clock just a little bit more. They're in the driver's seat. They got their foot on the gas. They might not be cruising right now as we speak, just waiting patiently. But the mentality is there. They know exactly how to go about this last 5 minutes.
And I'll say it time and time again. Every possession matters. And then a play like that, even that right there, that's huge from Caroline Stone. Able to pick that thing up just before it gets to Sova Cool. Would have been going the other way, but she hustles just that extra step. And now JD's able to keep on offense.
Hustle stats, that is what lacrosse always comes down to. And you've got players like Caroline Stone that are willing to make those plays. She might not show up on the score sheet very often. She might not get a ton of goals and assists, but she is an impact player.
And oh wow, Sova Cool just finds ways to impress on every single trip on the defensive side. A huge stop there from Brooke Bort's attack.
Sova Cool, that 00 on her shirt, I think that number signifies the amount of times that she is going to allow JD to get through to her. She's not going to allow anything getting into her. Although she's let up some goals, she still has that mentality that, you know, this next shot is going to be the one that makes a difference.
And Riley Markert was all over Patriarcho, and it forces Homer to reset. And even a play like that, again, it's these little things that are going to get it done. And the same can be applied to Homer. Now 3:20 left in this game, down 4. You need urgency, and you need draw control.
We've seen them string together some quick goals. We know they're capable of it. But I feel like that window is kind of closed for them. They had that chance with about 15 minutes remaining in this half. But I think JD just needed that timeout to just really center back, get back to that, like, that 0 point in their brain. And just focusing on the psychology of all of this, being able to take that stop. Speaking of stop, Lucy Kibe shuts it down in the perfect moment.
But now she's in trouble. A couple of Trojans right on her. But again, under pressure, she's able to deliver a great pass. And again, JD goes right back on offense. With the numbers in transition, Endries got whacked underneath. And again, another scuffle for the possession.
And that JD fast break, they wasted no time on that. That went from Kibe all the way up to Endries in probably 10 seconds. This ball movement was absolutely elite on that play. Although they couldn't get the immediate goal, they have the ball right now, and it is all because of the distribution through that midfield.
Yeah, and that scuffle that lasted for a good amount of time ends up in the hands of Maris Kessler. And this is just another opportunity for JD to run this clock down. Up 4, under 2 minutes left now. And you're certainly right. It may not be completely closed, but that window is just about to shut for Homer. But in the great words of Justin Bieber, never say never.
Never say never. Justin Bieber. I don't know if he knows a lot about lacrosse, but he's helping us out here. That's all that matters.
I don't think he does. Maybe, you know. Well, either way, he's not here tonight. Maybe we can get him on as a guest.
That's a life goal
in our next game. Yeah. But in other hands, Patriarcho taking things into her own hands, coming up with the defensive turnover. And now they've really got to rush.
And you see them scrambling here. They're just trying to get that distribution from Sova Cool. Bit of a sloppy pass there. It ends up in the stick of the Homer attack. And you see them just rushing here. They have finite time to work with.
Moving at high speeds, and sometimes it can be a little impactful on your shots. That one, a little bit over the top. But again, they've got to move really quickly. Under a minute left to play.
And it looks like JD's approach here is just contain. They are so close to victory here. They don't want to let anything get in. Looks like they're not going to, as we see almost every player on the field right there involved in this defensive scuffle.
But again, look at the hustle from both of these teams running all the way to the out-of-bound markers until that ball is blown dead.
And that hustle from Nikki Militi, much to the appetite of this crowd, with just about 7 seconds left. That is the final hustle play of this game for her. And this crowd is loving it as we see JD cruise to another victory.
The Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams get things done in a sectional rematch from last season. They put the Homer Trojans away 11-7 in what was a back-and-forth affair all night long.
And this game just reinforces the notion of defense wins championships. Not the highest scoring game we're ever going to see, only 7-11. But what a defensive masterclass by JD. We talked about before the game Chloe Roos being the absolute offensive weapon that she is. But JD was having none of that. You know that this team was well prepared. You know, hats off to the coaching staff. Hats off to every member of this JD team preparing perfectly for this opponent.
And you look back at the stats, for a team that averages 14 goals a game, to hold them 8 goals underneath their season average is just a feat among itself. So hats off to the Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams, and they get things done on their home turf. One last ride on Saturday against Liverpool. That will be a tough end to the regular season, but if anyone is up for the challenge, it's these Jamesville-DeWitt Red Rams. We thank you so very much for joining us here tonight. Again, I'm Nick Dekaney, joined with Mikey Meskos and the whole JD TV crew, Sam Galfin on the camera, Tyler Aitken doing producing. We thank you so very much, and we will see you on the next broadcast sometime potentially next week. Have a great night wherever you may be.